I'm here with Bliestek.
Hello, huh?
We're talking a little bit about Apple's recent keynote, the WWDC of 2021, and some of the features that are brought up there. So,
Oh
just
yeah,
before we get into it, Bliestek, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just excited about some of this cool stuff we're going to talk about tonight.
Too right, too right. You're pretty deep into the Apple sort of ecosystem too, in having iPhone, iPad, the Mac, not Mac.
Yep.
What's it called? MacBook.
Yeah, I got an iMac as well, so
You have an
bit of
iMac
everything.
as well.
I do.
I didn't know that.
I don't use it all the time, but I have one.
Yep. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
we'll
I
just
love
jump
them.
straight into it then. iOS 15.
It is one above 14.
Correct. We're a year later and one iOS version later.
Yes, and they wanted 15 to definitely one up 14, and it definitely did that. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I find it. A lot of people have said that they're disappointed in it. I find it's very good quality of life improvement
Yeah.
over the previous one. Like, it's not hugely feature heavy, but some of the stuff they've introduced is like chef's kiss as far as making it much more user friendly.
Yeah, for sure, and just some of the stuff in terms of you can tell they were very focused on the whole work from home idea with COVID and stuff at the moment too,
Yep.
which really has probably helped them bring some stuff in that may not have been that much of a priority before, but it's probably helped them just tidy some smaller things up, to just give us a few extra little feature sets. So
Yep. Spot on. So we got a bit of a list here. We'll just start right at the top. FaceTime updates. One of the things that I'm most excited by that they've added that we've got on this list, voice isolation, which I didn't
yeah.
realize wasn't already a part of it.
Yeah, no, it's actually. I mean, I think it from memory, it already did a sort of basic noise cancelling, I guess. But now, like the actual voice isolation it does is next level. I'm not sure if you watch the keynote, didn't you?
Yeah, where they showed someone coming in with a leaf blower and cancelling. I'd pay to see someone recreate that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can try it if you like. How much you going to pay me?
You got a leaf blower?
Dad's got one of those battery powered Ryobi ones. I don't know if they're silent or not though.
I mean, I got a whippersnipper. That'll make a bit
of
noise.
there you go. Let's try that. We'll get a lawnmower or something.
Yeah, lawnmower. Just mow into your freaking. What was it? It was like a living room they were in.
Yeah.
But,
why not?
Portrait mode as well. That's
that I'm surprised that I didn't have before. But I mean, that's just a small little. Okay, that's nice. I don't have to show people my background, which is, obviously a great thing.
I'm kind of hoping, because I don't know with the API side of things, if they've opened that sort of portrait mode ability to APIs to use, things like Zoom could use that for their background replacement. And portrait mode's pretty damn accurate.
Yes,
so
it is.
That would be pretty cool if third-party apps could then use that function to replace the background with, whatever, a picture or, whatever it may be.
I know that Teams has had it for a while, but I'm not sure if it... I don't think it utilizes, like, your camera. I don't think it's just a feature of Apple. I believe it's just Teams in general. It's just, trying to pick you out of the
Because I've definitely seen some programs try and do that. I say try because I've never seen it done well. It's always janky around the silhouette of the person.
Yeah.
It's not really sure if you're in the background or a part of the person, so it's like really bubbly and janky.
Yes.
Whereas portrait mode's pretty damn accurate. Like,
it is. It's definitely the best of the lot. So
constantly, and find it's pretty damn good.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it, and I did have a bit of a chance to have a bit of a play with it. Not actually on a live call, but just opening up FaceTime and turning that on and stuff. And it did seem pretty good.
Yep.
One thing I'm really excited about with FaceTime though is the FaceTime links.
Yep. You're right.
That's just the ability to have FaceTime on non-Apple devices is a huge step for FaceTime.
Yeah.
It's now trying to align itself as a competitor to the likes of Zoom and Microsoft Teams and all those other ones. Obviously, there's no native apps for other Windows and Android,
which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
But I guess they're not too fussed about it, probably purely because web apps become such a big thing now.
True.
And if you can make a web app work well, then there's not really any need for an actual app anymore. Like what, and the FaceTime links don't. Well, I've got the developer betas on my phone and my iPad. FaceTime links don't fully work yet, which I'm not surprised being beta 1.
Yeah.
But I've managed to create a link and try and open it on my phone, and open straight up into the browser. I tried it on my computer. Open straight up into the browser, and it was actually a really good experience. I mean, obviously we weren't talking or anything, but I could see myself. It connected me in quite easily. Just asked me for a nickname. Didn't have to have an Apple ID or sign in or anything like that.
Oh, that's cool. It's really good too because a lot of people who aren't so tech savvy are not sitting there and have their favorite video conferencing app, but they don't particularly care. So a lot of people, they'll use Zoom, Teams, Skype, whatever. It's kind of whatever comes along, but they're annoyed if you make them shift.
Yes.
If they're not with Apple already, it's good to be able to just say, hey, click the link, put in your name, you're in the call.
That's right. It doesn't matter if you're with Apple or not. It just, you're in. Really, this whole system is probably very loosely but closely related to the Google Meet sort of meeting system, which is very, very web-based. There is an app for Android, and I think there is actually an app for iOS as well, but it's definitely designed for web interface. So it's actually very similar to how that operates. Potentially it could be a bit smoother. It just seemed very snappy and quick when I was testing it, but obviously we didn't actually do a proper video. So anyway, I'm keen to see how that goes. I obviously have a lot of web meetings and stuff for work, so I'm keen to maybe see if we can start using that a little bit more than Teams and see how it goes. Cool.
So the other thing that I know you're excited for is SharePlay.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a really cool idea. Obviously you need to have friends. So
you're out of
I'm sorry for all those of you that are, lower on the friends list, but just
briefly for anybody who doesn't know. So SharePlay is using. Is it within a FaceTime call, or can you just do it whenever?
No, it's within a FaceTime call.
Yep. Yeah. So within a FaceTime call, you can share either your audio or video for supported apps, and it syncs between the devices that it's sharing between, so that any user in that call watching or listening can pause, unpause. So if you're sharing, say, be like, hey, I got a song I want to show you. It's really cool. And I start it and we're having a listen together, and then stop it and be like, what do you think? It's all...
But it does more than that, though. And that's the beauty of how they've developed it compared to other alternative options, is that it's obviously designed for Apple products. Right? Yeah. But it basically, it doesn't just you can obviously share your screen, but for if you're wanting to watch Apple TV Plus or Netflix or something like that, the other users need to have a subscription to whatever you're trying to watch.
Yeah.
But what it will actually do, instead of you just sharing your screen what you're watching to them, it's actually their app on their end is playing it.
Yep.
So Netflix actually opens up for them and uses their account and syncs it.
Yep.
So it's better, obviously, that way they get the real crisp on the spot everything lined up really nicely, because it's not actually doing a big data transfer. All it's doing is syncing up times.
Yep. Something a really good comparison for this is we've had watch parties in Discord before, where there's been literally the only one I've been in. We watched a movie. There's 3 of us, and we all had Netflix. Like we all had Netflix subscriptions, but we wanted to watch this thing together.
Yeah.
So the way we did it was we used the Discord screen share to do it, which at least I wasn't the host, so on my end, every now and then it would go a bit blurry or whatever when the internet decides it's going to die down a bit,
Yeah.
Whereas if it was all done through Netflix, you wouldn't really have that problem.
Yeah, and that's right. It always stays synced and always stays the highest possible quality. And like if you've got an Apple TV or a TV capable of AirPlay, then you can like watching on your phone with your friends. You can see their faces and stuff, and you just walk out to wherever that is, and then just send it up to your Apple TV or your AirPlay device, and continue going as if nothing's happened. Like it's just I think it's really cool. I admit it's a bit of a gimmick though. It's one of those things that do I need it?
Yeah,
but I think it's just to try and bring people together when they're isolated and everything like that.
But I'll stop you right there because I've actually been in the exact situation where we want to use this feature. So a friend of ours admittedly doesn't have Apple products, so it would have been out of luck anyway. But this was New Year's last year. We wanted to sit down and watch the movie. Is it Blues? No. Anyway, it's one of the Pixar movies that came out where it's about jazz and that. We're like, hey, we're all going to love this. Let's sit down and watch it together and be on a call and stuff. Because Disney Plus has this like share play kind of looking feature, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't work. So in true, like this is the one thing I love about Apple. So they'll release share play in a year's time to the public. And chances are it will just work, whereas Disney Plus already has it and we couldn't get it working for the life of us. We spent like half an hour, which we could have been watching a movie, sitting around trying to figure out how to share it.
And that's the thing. Apple just take a bit more time on it, but they always seem to try and perfect the technology before it's released.
That's it.
So it'll be interesting to see how we go with it, that's for sure.
Yeah. So next one, I think you've added this because I'm actually... Messages sharing?
Messages sharing. I'm trying to remember what that one is.
I'm going to take a stab at that one and say it's to do with... So if you share a photo to myself, it actually adds it into the photo app now, which is really cool.
Yeah, that might be awesome.
Many of the photos that I share to my mother, for example, are from events I've been to. And like I'm the photographer type thing. I always take photos and whatnot. So after just about every event, she sends me a message saying, send me the photos you got. So I just through iMessages send her photos, which would now go straight into her Photos app as well as their new UI on iMessages.
Yeah, and the thing is with that as well is it's smart enough to know not to put screenshots in there.
Yeah.
Like if you're just sending screenshots and stuff, it won't just automatically put that in your...
I think they even mentioned on the WWDC that they're like, so you won't get all your memes and screenshots.
Yes,
in there.
that's right. They said that.
That's really cool.
Otherwise you end up with all the GIFs and everything in there as well. So but it's pretty cool how that works. So it'd be interesting to. I actually haven't really tried that yet. Obviously, not many people other than myself and yourself that I know are running the beta. So it'll become
more prevalent, like at the release of the iOS.
Public beta comes out next month. So when public beta comes out, I know of a lot of people who will jump on board. So
I don't know that many tech savvy people.
I wouldn't say they're tech savvy, but they're just like, ooh, new shiny things.
That's fair enough. That's what I was like back in iOS 7 or whatever it was back in the day with my first beta. Focus notifications, so basically a replacement for the good old-fashioned do not disturb. Absolutely loving it so far because I'm one of these serial people because I make a lot of phone calls at work if I'm on hold for more than 10 seconds, I pick up my phone. And
Yeah.
it's not a good look. And it's just like a habit now. Like I
Yeah.
do it without thinking. I pick it up and I normally open Twitter or whatever else. Now I use this focus notifications. I've made a specific home screen that's only got my work apps on there. And that's it.
Yes.
So,
I love how they've actually made it so you can personalize the home screen with it. It's not just about notifications. It's about the whole like work experience versus your personal experience. Yeah.
So that's actually helped me a lot because even today I was on hold 2 phone calls. Between the 2, I spent an hour on hold.
Yeah.
Because those companies suck. And that whole time I was just doing other work things because I'd picked up my phone and sort of going, oh yeah, that's right, put it back down.
Yeah.
And then just continued doing what I was supposed to be doing. So
yeah.
I'm
How many
actually
times did
loving
you
that.
pick it up and try and do stuff and then realize you couldn't?
Probably quite a few. I wonder because they do give you a metric somewhere.
Yeah, you can look at screen time like when you picked it up. Anyway, that'd be interesting. The one thing that I wish that I'm hoping they'll bring to this is, see, for someone like myself, I want to do something similar to what you have, where we've got the specific apps for work and everything.
Yep.
But I'm not fussed about messages and phone calls, right? And obviously there's an option there to just allow all phone calls, which is fine. But the messages side, there's not. You have to specify who you want to be able to send you message notifications. I think just having the ability to select anyone, like just whoever, for that would be good because I want to get those text messages if they come through.
Yeah.
But I'm not fussed about all the other crappy notifications while I'm at work. I'm trying to work out how I can make it suit me at the moment with the way that it's currently set up, and I haven't been able to come out with a perfect way yet, but I'm still going to try.
Have you submitted a feedback thing to Apple?
No, yes. No, I probably will, but I haven't yet.
Yep. It's worth doing. I'm actually I'm actually going to submit a feedback thing as well. I don't know if you have it on here. No, apparently not. So one of the things that I noticed is they've finally added multiple timers to the Watch OS. So you can set, how 5 timers going, which is great because I use timers all the time when I'm cooking tea. But if there's multiple timers, I've had it where I've had the oven timer, my phone timer, and my watch timer all going.
So was that that picture you sent me?
Yeah, sure was.
I was trying to work out where that was from, but that makes sense now.
Yeah. But here's my gripe. 2 things. iOS doesn't have it yet, which is okay. Why did you put it on the watch but not on the thing that probably makes more sense to have it on there?
Yeah.
And 2, it still doesn't synchronize. Like Apple has this ecosystem.
Yeah.
But if I set a timer on my watch, it doesn't synchronize to my phone.
But if you do it on your phone, it synchronizes to your watch?
I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah, mine does. Yeah, I know it is odd. It's very odd.
So that's,
I guess the thing is that watches are made to be able to be independent from the phone.
Yep.
To a certain extent, whereas phone is just they don't care. The phone doesn't really care about the watch. So I think that it's probably more along the lines of anything you interact with directly on the watch, it will try and do its own thing.
Oh, I guess
but anything from the iPhone, it will just treat as like notifications or whatever. So I think it's probably that's my interpretation.
Timers on the phone then.
yeah, I know that would be good, wouldn't it? But another cool thing is the notification batching.
True. I haven't had that work yet.
No, you have to turn it on. I don't know if you've turned it on, but there's an option for it. But it's I think you would obviously want to make sure you think about what notifications you really want, like what are important for you to get during the day. Because obviously, like for instance, my smart doorbell, I want to get those notifications during the day. I don't want to wait and get a bulk notification at the end of the day that says you had 50 people rock up at your house today, but you didn't answer. Or you weren't there. So stuff like that. You just got to really make sure you think about when there's a options to set it up. Just making sure that you choose which ones are
I actually just
important
had
to
a
you.
look, and you're right. I had that off, so definitely turn that on just to have a play with it.
Yeah, worth a play.
Yeah.
What else we got here? We got
ID and wallet.
Yeah.
This is something I'm excited for, but I can't see coming to Australia for 5 years, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because at the moment I have the SA Gov app, which allows you to put your driver's license in there. And that's fine, but it does mean, because the SA Gov app is not exactly what I would call a top tier app.
No, it's
pretty janky.
a state app. Yes.
Yeah, it does its job, but it's not fantastic.
Yeah, I have a hunch that it's not going to be coming to Australia for many years, because I think that the Australian government won't want to give Apple that sort of, I don't know, information / power / I don't know what they would call it, but it's one of those things that they just want, like a bit like what Commonwealth Bank and ANZ and NAB and all those other banks did when Apple Pay first came to Australia. And they're like, oh, we're not going to pay that. No, we'll make our own. And they tried to make I think it was Pay ID, wasn't it? Something like that.
No, what they wanted was access to Apple Pay's back end, essentially. And Apple's like, it's secure because you can't access it.
Yeah, that's right.
And they were not having it until basically people were starting to jump ship because of Apple Pay, and they're like, oh, okay, maybe we'll get this.
I jumped to ANZ at one point purely because of Apple Pay.
I've still got an ANZ card because of it.
Yeah, well, see, I'm not anymore with ANZ. I'm back
I don't want it anymore. But
I've still got it. I was only with that until Commonwealth said, okay, we've got it now. I'm like, sweet, I'm back. Yeah. I never left Commonwealth. I just got rid of ANZ. But it's I think it'd be interesting, but I don't think that that's going to be anytime soon for us.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's cool that they're thinking about it. But while we're on that topic, we might as well go to the next one, the HomeKit keys.
Yeah.
I don't know, which I think will be really cool. And because it's now going to be Matter, which is the new universal standard for smart home.
Oh, okay.
Which is like Google, Amazon, Apple, the Zigbee Alliance, all them banded together to create a new standard, rather than having, made for Amazon, made for Google, made for Apple. Just one thing that's a standard platform for everything. Yeah, which I'm hoping that it's not too difficult to get into, because that means the cheap smart home manufacturers will have to build security to a standard to get accepted as a Matter device.
Yep.
And now that there's only really one official platform for everything now, it means that hopefully cheaper devices will be, just more easily available, and that can be cross-platform. Basically, you just choose. Like, you do, like, what ecosystem do I want to use? Do I want to use Google? Do I want to use Apple? Do I want to use Amazon? And that's what I'm really excited for, because I'm a bit of a smart home nerd, I guess you would call.
Yeah, and the thing that's been holding me back is most of the cheap stuff is made for Google Home, or had been made.
Yeah.
So for me, who's not exactly flush with cash, when it comes to doing these, what I think are really cool improvements like smart lights and all that sort of stuff, I'm stuck Google Home to the Google Home app to then interact with my phone, which didn't work with Siri. I don't know if it does yet. So it was just a heap of broken ecosystems. I'm just like, is this what Android users put up with?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm a bit of a 50-50. I've got majority of my stuff in HomeKit and Google, but there's very definitely limitations of Google, and I'm not going to pretend that the Apple Home stuff is perfect either. But I build Homebridge and link everything together, regardless of if they're supported officially or not. Anyway, I love the idea of the HomeKit keys, and it's actually also on that is Apple have now. This is actually not under Apple Wallet, but while we're talking HomeKit, just Apple have also allowed third-party vendors to start integrating Siri into their products, which is a huge step for Apple.
Yeah. So good, because Siri is seriously lacking.
Yeah, yeah. Because Siri, like, in terms of smart home and stuff, Siri is, in my opinion, the better one. Definitely, it's more natural than Google and Amazon. Amazon, I feel like tries a little bit too hard. But the thing is, with Apple like ecosystems, you need to have like a Apple TV or a HomePod to act as essentially their hub for home stuff, which is fine.
Yep.
But Siri, the way, because Apple's all about privacy and stuff, Siri only operates if you've got a home hub or a Apple TV. It actually uses the local network and actually communicates with your home hub and everything to make the requests and everything like that. So they're actually being pretty smart with how they're doing it. They're keeping the security within their own product. So essentially, it's just talking to their own products, and their own products are talking back to the device and then saying things. So whereas obviously Google and that are completely self-isolated integrations. It's only as secure as the manufacturer's made the product.
Yep.
Whereas this here, it doesn't really matter how secure the manufacturer made the product. It still goes through Apple's products, which means that they can maintain their level of security. So anyway, that's just on that. So
just reorganise the things a little bit because I realised.
Yeah, we jumped around a little bit there.
Yeah. So the other one was this. So short story for those who don't know. I'm pretty sure I've told you before. I've had 3 sets of AirPods in my lifetime, 2 of the regular ones, and 1 AirPods Pro. And the reason why I had 2 of the regular AirPods is because the first set I had, I lost, and I wasn't too worried because I had them on me, and then they disappeared. So I was pretty sure they're in the house somewhere. And they were. I was right. I found them eventually when I put on some clean pants that they were still in the pocket of. And they were clean because they'd been through the wash. So they were dead. And that was a real disappointment because I couldn't find them because AirPods Find My tracking only works, or currently only works, if you actually have them open. So in that circumstance, I had them literally within like 5 feet of me at times. And I couldn't tell because the last tracking was over at the service station when I used them.
Yeah.
Now they're bringing in AirPods will finally make use of the Find My tracking where they'll ping by Bluetooth any phones that are nearby. It's all encrypted, so it's still safe and whatnot. But it means that in my circumstance, when I lost them, it would have actually still pinged our iPhones at home.
Yeah.
Even though they were still closed. So it would say, hey, it's in this vicinity, and they even work with a more accurate sort of Find My. It's similar to the AirTags, but not quite that accurate finding.
Yeah.
So I would have been able to.
It doesn't have
the
what do you call it? Ultra wideband
U1 chip.
U1 chip. Yeah.
Ultra wideband.
They don't have that, so they can't just do the arrow location through Find My, but they can get you pretty close.
Yeah.
So
I'm so glad they've introduced that because I've been petrified. I like after I lost these things, I went for like a year without AirPods, even though they are so damn good.
Yeah.
Because my thing was I lost my set of AirPods, so I don't deserve another one. It's literally I was just like, no, I've done my dash. It's $200. Like,
it's a lot of money.
So eventually, obviously, I did buy some, and then I upgraded.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty happy that they brought that in, and I don't know. I know you've got some AirTags, but have you noticed that? Well, since you upgraded to iOS 15, that you get pinged to say you left your AirTag behind.
You know why I haven't noticed that yet?
Why is that?
This is another feedback thing I'm putting into Apple. There's still no family sharing for AirTags.
Oh, so the other one's attached to Cheese's account, is it?
Yeah. Cheese has. So Cheese has one for her keys for her car because she's the main driver of that car.
Yeah.
The second one is currently not used.
Yeah.
So what happens in this circumstance is I take these keys, use the car to go down the shops, and I get pinged the whole freaking way there to tell me I'm being followed. I'm like, no. If
you have to downgrade your phone. If you downgrade to pre U1 chip, so what's that? iPhone 10 or below,
Yeah.
You won't get pinged for, well, now 8 hours, actually. That's a whole another can of worms. But yeah, like I've noticed today, see, I've got all of my tags in my account, not in Tash's at all. So I've got a tag in my car. Both cars have got tags. Both keys have got tags.
Yep.
Like my backpack, stuff like that. I've noticed that since upgrading, there's a new feature with Find My come in that if you walk away from something, it starts alerting you to tell you that you're leaving it behind.
Yeah.
Now, this is good and bad because all day I've been getting notifications. Like I left work and drove 2 minutes down the road to go to the shops, and I'm getting notifications saying, "You left your bag behind. You left your bag behind." I'm like, "No, mate. It's meant to be there." But what you can do is you can actually set up locations that are like, don't notify me if the tags are at these locations.
Okay. Yeah.
And obviously you can also turn off the notifications full stop for individual tags. So obviously for our cars, I turn that off because I'm like, well, the cars are always going to be nowhere near where we are if we park them somewhere. So I don't want that notification every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, but now since then Apple changed the 3-day thing for air tags if you put them on someone down to 8 hours, which is actually extremely irritating because if you lend someone your car for a day, then they'll start getting pinged.
Did they used to be 3 days?
Yeah, it used to be 3 days. So I actually tested it accidentally because I lent my car to my dad, and he took both the car tag and the car keys, and after 3 days it started pinging him.
So I thought it would be something like 1 or 2 hours.
No, we'll see for your, like what you were saying about like if you have the Ultra, like if you have an iPhone 11 or 12, it will pretty much notify you straight away telling you that something's following you.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But anything beyond that was like, 3 days. If it had been away from whoever the owner of the AirTag is for 3 days, then it will start beeping. Just in case it hadn't pinged someone to tell anyone or anything. So this is where it falls apart working for cars.
Wait, did you say it starts beeping?
Beep.
Or does it like ping iPhone users nearby?
Well, that ping happens before that anyway.
Yep.
But the actually starts making a noise.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, that's after 3 days. It's like, your keys and your car are beeping at me. I'm like, my bad. Sorry, I forgot about that. But yeah, now 8 hours just seems ridiculous because it's kind of like, well, I go to work for 8 hours. So if I've got it back in the other car, potentially you can start pinging Tash. Well, actually it won't because you can do that level of family muting. But if someone else was near it, it's kind of like, come on, Apple.
Okay, now I see.
I get this is not what it's necessarily designed for.
So it's more it enters into a lost mode than...
Yeah, that's exactly what it does. Yeah, that's exactly what it does. So, yeah. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day, I think. But it's, pretty interesting how it works. And I'm definitely very happy about the AirPods with Find My. Like with AirPods too, they've also brought in a better conversation mode too. So if you're in a noisy environment, you can put them on and it can sort of direct the person who's talking to you, sort of channels their audio in a bit better.
Yep.
Bit of a conversation boost, which is another little cool feature.
I actually believe I had the option earlier on. I wasn't going to turn it on because it was a work call. So I was like, if this disconnects the call, I am in so much trouble.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I had the option to utilize that the noise removing when I was on a call with my AirPods.
Oh yeah, okay, yep.
Which also really cool because the amount of times people have been out in the wind or whatever else, just put that with everything, Apple. Okay, just have us be able to toggle that on for normal phone calls and everything.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Moving forward, live text.
Yes.
Pretty cool feature. Found out that Android phones have been able to do this for quite a while.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's this accurate. I'm pretty impressed with the accuracy of what this has been. I've had Android phones before and used similar features, but I think Apple's OCR has done, is a lot better. Obviously works live and on a photo that you've already got in your
And
in your
that's
album. So
I was watching. Is it MKDHB or whatever? I don't know.
I know you're talking about, yeah.
Marcus Brownlee.
Marcus Brownlee, yeah.
And one of the things that he pointed out was that he, obviously using both ecosystems, he said that, Android's had it for a long time. Apple has implemented it in a way that it actually works cross like services within the phone very easily, being able to like phone people from a phone number found in a photo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Said, while Android's had it a long time and it works, it's definitely not that integrated.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's really cool to see that feature come through. Though I've had hit or miss with my handwriting with it, can actually read it, but then that's just.
Do you blame it?
Much.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He thought it was Chinese, okay?
Yeah. Maybe you're a doctor. Don't they say doctor's handwriting is
yeah,
almost...
Yeah, that's it. I was born to be a doctor, and just never happened.
Dr. Joel, the parts interpreter.
Yeah, that's it. Paging Dr. Joel from Oz.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
One that I missed actually, Safari and its changes.
Yes, and this is actually a cross-platform thing, really, between iPad OS, Mac OS, and iOS. It's cool. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it is long overdue. Like, keep in mind, I've only used it on iOS.
Yeah.
Some of the things that they've done that didn't really occur to me before, like putting the URL bar down the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of...
That's where your hand is, so it kind of makes sense. It's just always been up the top, so I didn't think to shift it down there, because, like, why would you?
Yeah.
But I'm like, swipe
just
up
to be able to,
go to your
tap
tabs,
and it disappears, sort of thing.
That. Yeah, the tapping. It's fantastic what they've done with it. I can't praise them enough for the changes they've done to Safari on iOS. So. Yeah,
and even I've been using on iPad OS since release 2, and I think it's brilliant. And they've got like you can do groupings with, like, I've got a work set of tabs.
Oh, I just realised that's
and a personal set of tabs
too.
Yeah, but in saying that, I'm not going to say that they're the first people to do this, because Firefox have had something similar and Edge do something similar.
Yeah, but my argument with that, so I use Firefox as my main driver type thing. So I would switch to Safari if I had the option. Now they've made these changes.
Yeah, that Apple, bring Safari to Windows now.
Yeah, do it. I use use Firefox in a way that I have all my personal stuff and and all that, and then I can actually open work tabs to go into alternative accounts for BBM. Actually, works wonders for that. My thing with Safari though is that I do a lot of web dev stuff working on the servers that I've set up, and I might have 20 tabs open for them, and then I go to watch something on Twitch. And I open a Twitch tab, and guess what happens? It gets buried. So it'd be nice to be able to have like a tab for quote unquote working, and then be able to switch between groups to be able to actually organize my stuff a bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a feature that I'm aware of in Firefox, but they should definitely do it.
No, I think it's more like label grouping. I don't think it's quite to the extent of what Safari is doing. But I'm very ingrained in the Apple ecosystem. I mean, I'm a system admin. I do college network, and we're probably a 50-50 split between Apple and Windows, Apple and Microsoft. But I do everything from my MacBook or my iPad. But there is aspects that I have to use Windows, and it just gets frustrating when I can't log in and copy my favorites, and just do the easy flow I've visited that website, I want to visit it on my computer now to a Windows computer. So if they could bring Safari to Windows, I'd be all on board and switching. But unfortunately, I'm a casual user of Safari at the moment purely because of that. I have to use. At the moment, I like to use Edge quite often because it's cross-platform now for everything, and it's obviously Chromium based. Thank God. So it's actually really good.
Myself, I think they suffer from the same thing that they initially replaced, which was sort of back ends that were too bloated for their own good.
Yes. Well, that's why I like Edge. Edge I find to be better than Chrome for that reason, because it's a little less. It's a bit more stripped back.
Yep.
I feel like they've actually perfected Google's own system a little bit better, but which is surprising. But anyway,
Moving forward.
Moving forward.
You've got here. Well, actually, sorry, I nearly skipped Apple Maps and the changes they bring into that.
Yeah, I've already noticed the CarPlay. They've already changed the look a little bit, which is not bad. I kind of like it, but I'm obviously once they bring the new maps to Australia at the end of the year, I think it's going to be really cool. I can see they've done some really cool things with it. I mean, it looks pretty cartoony, but I think it's probably what a GPS should be.
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
happier with the cartoony look than I am with the old what would you call it? Bear readout?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not keen on just like, oh, you got a map with lines drawn on it.
Yeah.
It makes it very hard to visualize. Whereas that's what Apple are trying to do, trying to make it so you can visualize what's coming up, and I think they even demonstrated going through like a super highway with all the different roads going over, and you can actually physically see yourself going underneath the overpasses and all that sort of stuff, to help give you visual references as to where you got to go, and that's awesome. That's going to be great. Now whether they will bring much of Australia to Australia when it comes, if that makes sense. So if it's just capital cities or
the same thing that happened with is a flyover, which originally was Sydney and then Melbourne and then Brisbane and Adelaide, and it really didn't affect most of the country.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens with that, but really cool. And another cool feature, which is probably one that got skirted over a little bit, but for those of you who are probably a bit more visually impaired, they've given you the ability to change your system font size per app rather than for a global whole device, which is I think it's a pretty big deal because I don't know if you've seen, Joel, anyone with like the font size maxed out on an iPhone.
I have. I work with two guys, I think, who do that. And it's
in some scenarios, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, I think the settings app is one example where it's pretty like overkill. A few other areas, but just being able to, because there'd probably some areas that are not too bad, but some things they really need to,
you
increase
can think
size.
of it this way. Like one of the guys I work with, like he uses text messages between himself and customers quite often. Yeah. But he really doesn't like wearing glasses. He's one of these guys who doesn't want to get old, Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things he's done is blow the text size up to the point where it's practically one word per line.
Yeah.
When you look at the messages. Now, for quick messages, that's fine. But if you were to jump in the settings app or something like that, I'd imagine it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And at that point, you'd have your glasses on,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway,
sense.
cool little feature. I mean, Apple's very focused on accessibility, so it's good. Good to see they're still doing stuff in that way.
Yeah. Now this next bit is going to be all you, because I haven't played with or even seen a lot of stuff about iPad OS.
Yeah.
But you should be all over that since you're loving it.
Well, I mean, obviously iPad OS has got pretty much all the features of iOS 15. So I'll sort of skirt over all that and just quickly go through a couple of extra features that have come to iPad OS that it didn't have previously. We got home screen widgets that are placeable anywhere, which obviously we actually had on iOS 14 on phones. So it may not seem like that big a deal, but it's a big deal because it's been quite restrictive. And for a workhorse, which is what they're trying to sort of make iPads be nowadays, it kind of, it just didn't allow you to organize your device.
It was a strange omission.
It was, and I think it's because they were just so focused on bringing all these extra features into iPhones at the time that they sort of said, okay, we're going to have to put a back seat to iPad OS for a little bit. and just get iPhone done and then focus on iPad later, which they have definitely focused on iPad now, because they got that and they brought the app library in, which so you can get rid of having multiple app pages and everything just now into that one nice little area like on an iPhone, and that is those two features are the two things that I was praying I would see come out, and I was pretty confident they would, but that's really good. Keep in mind I've got an M1 iPad Pro, so I was a little disappointed that there didn't seem to be a lot of massive advantages on M1 released with this new version of iPad OS, which I was hoping there might be something else there, but we have like new multitasking menus, which are actually really good. I did find multitasking before to be a little
cumbersome,
difficult. Yeah, it's kind of, it wasn't simple. It wasn't easy to use, and that for an Apple product, Apple's all about simplicity.
Yep.
It was kind of counterintuitive, but now they've got these little three little dots at the top of apps, and you can just like hit it and then choose to move an app to the side, and it sort of smart moves it off the screen, but you can kind of see it's still there, and it lets you select the other app. Whereas before it was very much about you had to slide up and bring up the little taskbar thing down the bottom, and you could only choose an app easily from that. You could choose it other ways, but anyway, that's working really well. I'm finding I'm actually using it a lot more than I had before. Quick Notes is a really cool feature. Now, I don't really use Apple Notes that much because I use an app called Notability. I find that to be really good. But for Quick Notes, they've now, if you go to Apple Pencil, bottom right-hand side of the screen, you sort of pull in, and it brings up a little quick sticky note sort of thing. You can just make a quick note.
Without the pencil?
No.
Really?
It does not. Yes, correct.
Well, that's disappointing.
It's designed for you to write a quick note.
The thing is, like back when I used to use an iPad for work, one of the things that was really good was I could go out and take a photo of something.
Yeah.
And then go into notes and take a heap of notes for what we needed. So I'd work in parts. So it might be, hey, we're after parts for this diff. We need pinion seal. We need, input bearing, price and an input shaft. So I'd take a picture of the plate on the diff is usually the best thing to do, and then switch over the notes and start taking notes of what they needed for it.
See, that's where you can multitask though. You could have half your screen dedicated, or a quarter of your screen dedicated to notes, and the rest of it dedicated to the camera.
Yeah.
So this is just quick. This is so for your sort of thing where you're actually writing a lot of notes down.
It'd just be quick note, tap, 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 done. Back in the office.
The next thing. Yeah, okay. Right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I mean, so you could do something like that if you did use multitasking, but it's just, I mean, there might be another shortcut that they'll eventually bring out that you can do it, or it could already exist and we don't know about it.
Behind having a pencil. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, Apple are very much about the pencil nowadays.
That is true. I'll admit, if I did get another iPad, it'd probably be one that has pencil support because I'm a bit of an artiste.
iPads do now. All iPads have pencil support now.
Oh, really? Even though I thought it was the pros only.
Nah, all the cheap ones have it too. We use them.
There you go. I've learned something today.
Yeah. It's really good actually. I mean, the pros I like the Pro ones better because they use a second gen pencil, which is like magnetic to the iPad and it QI charging. So whereas the other ones, you have to literally plug the pencil into the charging port.
On the end?
You have to plug. On the iPad Pro, it's not because it's all wireless. But on the other one, still have to plug it into the end of the iPad.
That would, because that was the silliest thing.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like the whole idea of like putting the charging port on the bottom of a mouse, and when your mouse goes flat, you can't do anything with it.
Very questionable. But anyway, moving forward.
Yes. Okay. Translate. You can now translate anything system wide. Which is pretty cool.
You know what? I bumped into that by accident on iOS too. So
so that's right. It's not just an iPad OS thing.
Which is great because there's one app that I use called Apollo for Reddit. They had to find a bit of a workaround for translation. Keep in mind this app is Apple only, like iOS only, and he makes very good use of all of the features of iOS.
Yep.
But for translation, he couldn't use a translate app because it's too janky. He actually managed to basically get an in-app browser to come up with Google Translate
Yeah.
and
Okay.
automatically put in whatever you've done.
Yep.
It was a very much a workaround.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now with this, it's not really necessary.
No, not at all. You could probably integrate it quite well. So
Yeah.
yeah, big feature release to iPad only. There's an app called Swift Playgrounds, which I don't know if you've heard of it before, but
Not really.
it's basically Apple like learn to code sort of thing.
Did this originally come out sort of about like 5 years back?
It's been out for quite a while. Yeah, it's not new. And I've actually played with it a bit and done a little bit of little coding and stuff.
Oh, so you can make my app. I've got a very good idea for one.
Get you all that out. No, but what's really cool is they've done an upgrade to Swift Playgrounds, I believe, which uses Swift UI, which so you can do full blown coding in it. Yep. But you can create an app end to end on an iPad. You do not need a computer at all.
That is a pretty good.
Yeah, you can submit it to the App Store from the iPad.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really big thing. So, I think that's going to be pretty insane. And I'm not going to lie, I've got on my list of stuff I'm going to make an app and I'm going to submit it to the App Store and just see how it goes. It's probably going to be the crappiest app ever, but I'm still going to do it because I can do it on my iPad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see how we go with that. But that's really big especially, I think for schools will be big and stuff like that, teaching kids and stuff. I've heard of some schools in South Australia where they've got coding clubs. Kids go and do it at lunchtimes and stuff with some IT teachers or whatever, and they've already I'm talking year 10s and stuff like that, and they've already made an app and they've already made over 900k. The year 10 students just from the app.
900,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, no. I was actually going to say it's a great skill to have.
Oh, definitely.
There's a lot of things I didn't agree with that Steve Jobs used to preach, but one of the things he used to say was everybody, like all young people, should at least know basic coding.
Yeah.
And part of the reason for that is because it teaches really great skills in logic and computer usage and back end, like understanding the back end of something. So it's not just about, hey, now you can build your app. If you sort of have a bit of an understanding of how these devices work from doing a bit of a coding class, you can better utilize them. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, no, it's very important skills to learn, I think. You can pretty much do anything with it. So
yeah. So moving forward to privacy, app privacy report.
Apple really do not like Facebook.
Oh yeah, that's actually something.
Actually, on that one, just while I'm thinking of it, I did hear today that Google are now doing something similar for some of their stuff, and it's believed it's very aimed at Facebook. And the guys I was listening to were talking about the fact that Apple and Google are now teaming up against Facebook to make Zuckerberg squirm. It's just like he always gets so fired up.
It's one of these things where Facebook. We're all up in arms about these privacy restrictions that basically prevented them from spying on users.
Yeah.
But the issue is, I don't know if you paid much attention to the microtransaction thing in gaming years ago, which is still a problem. But with Star Wars Battlefront 2, when it was released, they were going to have huge amounts of microtransactions in there and mostly aimed at children.
Yeah.
That was the first time that mainstream media sort of took notice and went, hold on, this is gambling.
Yeah.
And came down hard, and there was, inquiries and all this sort of stuff, worldwide, pandemonium, and that's when they backed out and said, we're not going to have microtransactions.
We were just kidding.
Whatever, it wasn't. They pushed the envelope past the point where it caused outrage, and then they didn't get rid of microtransactions. They just dialed it back to like they tested the waters and went, oh shit, so that's the line, and came back a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Microsoft. Facebook has been pushing and pushing and pushing as far as invasiveness goes, and now they're getting, basically told we're going to stop you doing that, and they're having a crack about
no
it.
one's been keeping them accountable for it. But
That's right.
now Apple ultimately is, and that's one.
Yeah.
That's, like honestly, one thing I love about Apple's ecosystem is they are. I truly believe in their security. Like they definitely invest in it. They make sure it works well. Whereas I'm not gonna I don't mind Google, but I wouldn't trust them.
Yeah,
It's one of these guys. You can imagine two Uber drivers, Google and Apple, and they're going to take you to a random location. Who would you trust
No, it's
to
not
take
even
you
that.
to a good location? I'm going with Apple. I don't.
The best analogy working off of that, Google and Apple, both Uber drivers, which one do you think has hidden cameras and microphones in the car?
That too, yeah.
I can
which
tell
one
you
uses
right now. I
secure
know which
video?
one.
Yeah.
But one of the things
yeah.
is they're pushing privacy very hard at Apple. And I've seen a lot of people, like one of the things that we'll touch on in a minute is sending Siri off to be processed elsewhere. And that's one of the big digs they have at Apple. And, it's all about privacy now that it pads the bottom line. And don't get me wrong, that's 100% the point. But iPhones have had a secure enclave on them almost as long as there's been iPhones. This isn't something they just put in yesterday.
Yeah.
They've been about security for nearly a decade.
Yeah.
So, anybody who turns around and goes, oh, yeah, but now they're doing it. It's like, no, they've been doing it for a long time. It's the main reason I stuck with Apple was because I know my data's pretty secure.
They're trying to protect people's privacy. And so Apple is all about security. It's which is really good. And that's what I love about them. And they even, leads into the speech recognition they're doing with Siri now, where it's all processed on the secure enclave rather than in the cloud. So
just to clarify, not all of it, but many of the small commands that.
Yes, but also the individual speech recognition. So for if you've got a HomePod, so it can identify a user by their voice. That's all done locally. It's not done in the cloud. Obviously, you can request things and it will send it to the cloud, but the actual recognition is local.
Yeah.
You basically Apple can't steal your voice. They can't catch you saying yes and no. Right?
I'm actually more excited for the performance increase from that than
anything else.
Even with the best, being on Wi-Fi, having a great connection, all that sort of stuff. I don't know if it's because we're in Australia and hence the nearest server's probably 1,500 k's away.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you put in, you're like, Siri, turn on the torch. Don't actually turn on the torch, wherever you are. But you tell her to turn on the torch and you see the words slowly come up. And then she's like, turning on torch. I could have just done that, thinking on it.
It's I've already done what I wanted to do in the dark anyway.
Yeah, that's it. I've already stubbed my toe. So having that all on board so you can just tell her a quick command and she does it within half a second. Just thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And so all right, so we got iCloud Plus.
First off, digital legacy. That was not something I saw coming.
No, but I think it's cool. I like it.
There was a thing a fair while back. I think it may have been Vin Diesel. Or no, what's the other fella? He's in Pulp Fiction. I can't think of his name at the moment. Anyway, there's a famous actor, and in his will, he left, I think it was his iTunes library or whatever it may have been, to his children.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, whatever company that he'd promised this to said no. They said, we will not honour that. We cannot honour that.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the biggest expose of the problem with buying digital goods. Is that if you died, poof, gone.
Yeah.
Whereas digital legacy enables people to access your account after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, you untimely demise and that sort of thing, and gain access to photos or whatever else you may have had in the cloud.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, we use something similar for our password management. I don't know if you got yours set up or not, but
Not
if
yet.
yeah, so if something happened to me, like my mum can get in, and
Yeah.
obviously my wife. But yeah,
We're looking to do something similar. Like my father's got a bad heart, and I had to have the sit down with him a while back because he's against password managers and stuff. And I said, look, in the worst case scenario, we don't have any way to get into your bank accounts or anything like that. So if you pass away, we're going to have to go through all that rigmarole just so mum can live. And things like digital legacy, you know, having those in services is just, to me, a must have.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just, I think nowadays it's going to become more and more of just a common occurrence, I think.
But you think about it, the people who are sort of dabbling in this sort of stuff back in the 90s, they might have been 20, 30 years old now. We're 30 years on. They're getting 60, 70 years old. They're starting to think, oh, what happens when I pass away?
Yeah.
I'm in management now. I'm going to get these guys to set up something for me.
Yeah. So what else we got? Private relay VPN.
Oh, it's the funniest thing.
Have you used it?
Yeah, didn't I? I'm pretty sure I sent you a message. So I've set up all of my services to only work in Australia because they're used within our little group.
Yeah.
So it's things like a cloud server and stuff. And all of a sudden I upgrade to iOS 15 and it all breaks, and I couldn't figure it out for a little while. And it turns out that because of private relay, it had me flagged as someone trying to contact it from the United States, I think it was. I'm like, oh.
Even though you're on the same local network.
Yeah, it works. It's good.
Yeah, we have a M365 tenant for work, and we've got all the extra security features and stuff built in, and I get reports and stuff if impossible travel activity and all this sort of stuff happens with people's accounts, or if people from Zimbabwe are trying to log into our students' accounts, stuff like that.
Yep.
And for the first time ever, I showed up on that list today because my iPad and my phone both obviously I was logging into the system.
You're going to get that so much more going forward.
Yeah, no. One thing I did realize though is you can actually turn it off per Wi-Fi SSID.
Oh,
so
really?
you can actually if you connect to a Wi-Fi network and you go into the settings for the Wi-Fi network, there's actually an option in there to turn it off for that network now.
Well, I might. No, that still won't work, because if I'm in a hotel room or something like that,
you wouldn't be able to access it. Yeah, so we're not gonna fix your problem, but in general, like I obviously don't want to use one of those at work because I access local stuff all the time, and so I actually have turned it off for the time being, but there's pros and cons of it. I think it's really great. It's just that there's obviously, when you got systems set up that are designed to sort of protect from this sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, it's a problem. But for a normal user, I think it's great. And by default being turned on, I think it's good, because if you use, like your mum, right? As soon as she updates, she's going to be protected.
That's true. Yeah.
So, and I mean, she's not going to access your big brain stuff. So,
most normal.
Unless she, hey, she, I'm keen. Like, let's have a podcast with your mum on here one day.
I know your mum. Definitely not do that. She calls it the Mickey Mouse Club. I don't appreciate that name. Not at all. Hide my email. That's something that's super freaking cool.
Yep, very cool. I haven't used it yet, but I'm definitely planning to.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of troubles with like spam and stuff lately.
Yeah.
Like I get a dozen spam emails a day, which I know some people are like, really?
Dozen?
A dozen?
Amateur.
Wow. So hard done by. But for
Mate,
real, I had none for
rookie
years.
Rookie numbers. I think, you know what? I'm scared to even put the number out there that I think I probably get a day. So I won't say it out loud. But
I mean, most of mine gets caught by the spam filter. But it's been...
but it still comes through to your system. So it still shows up in your junk mail or whatever. So.
Yeah, but I never look at that crap.
I clear mine out. I'm one of these people that you see like a number ticking on one of the folders on the side of your inbox or whatever. I'm like, I'm going to clear that number away. I hate it.
I hate to think.
OCD.
So
it's really cool.
125 junk email. That's a lie. I've never cleared that out.
Junk email.
I've had it.
Junk email usually clears itself out after 30 days. So
in
the last 30 days, you've had 125, which is probably what I get almost in a day. So.
Yeah. God damn it, Neopets! Why'd you have a have a breach?
The thing with Hide My Email is that it's pretty much like, you can go to some places now and click on sign in with Apple.
Yep.
It pretty much now gives you the ability to do essentially what that is without having to have a site that's supported by that sign in with Apple feature. So that's what I like about it. I think it's brilliant, and you can easily manage it. I haven't looked on my iPhone, but in my iPad, in the iCloud settings, there's actually a section there, and it can show you all your email addresses that you're using for different sites and apps and everything. You can just cancel them, or you can even create your own in there and assign it to something yourself. So it's really good. But one other thing that I like that they've done is, which was not announced, but it was released with this, custom iCloud domains. So bigbrainmedia.org. So you could actually have iCloud hosting your bigbrainmedia.org emails.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So that, which is obviously they haven't done before. So essentially they're probably angling themselves at if you've got they haven't really announced the full details yet. I believe if you have iCloud Plus, you're already paying.
Well, I guess that's true.
I don't believe that they would charge you again unless you were to purchase a domain through them.
Most of the services I've found, because I did have a bit of a gander when I was doing Big Brain Media stuff. Yeah. It's usually about $5 a month per email.
Yeah.
Which is,
that's cheap,
when you're talking 6 people and it's a free organisation.
Yeah. No, my understanding with this is because you can have an iCloud account as for free as part of your thing, right?
Yeah.
As part of your thing. So no, my understanding is that because you're already paying for your account, you're just changing it from an iCloud.com account to a bigbrainmedia.org account. So you're actually already paying for the mail subscription. So all you got to do is pay for your own domain, and you can forward your MX records through, and you can now use iCloud. And they actually said you can set up family members to automatically get given the domain name emails for their accounts as well.
That's cool.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's something small, but it's actually could be pretty big, and it can bring them in line to actually compete with the likes of G Suite and M365 in terms of email hosting, anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's quickly go over the last quick little bit here.
Oh, so okay. I need to be honest here. I didn't watch any of the macOS stuff. I watched the name reveal and then I skipped straight past it.
So it's pretty. There's Monterey. That's what it's called, macOS Monterey.
Yep.
There's pretty much. I mean, we already covered Safari, so there's pretty much 3 things that were highlighted.
That first one's got me really interested.
Yeah, so you can AirPlay to your Mac from your iPad or iPhone.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you can basically what they said is like, they're developing these laptops and desktops with like Retina displays, which are absolutely amazing displays. And a lot of the time, people can't afford to get anything even close to as good a quality as what they are. They're like, why are we not letting people bring up stream their stuff from their phones and stuff to this awesome screen they've got? So that's what they've done. They've allowed you to do that now. Now, obviously, for some people, it would be completely useless, but for others, it's really cool. Something, especially if it's like an app or something that you don't have on your Mac, that's not compatible with your Mac or something. You can show that or whatever presentations. You could essentially set up a screen.
What I was thinking was like. Before we had a TV in our bedroom, we used to set up the laptop now and then to watch, whatever TV series we're watching in bed. And whoever drew the short story had to get up and put on the next episode now and then.
Yeah, so if you had your Mac connected to your TV or whatever, you could actually AirPlay it to your Mac from sitting in bed.
Yeah, and then just to the Mac itself is what I was thinking.
Well, yeah, or to
we used to have it sitting on a kitchen chair next to the bed.
Yeah, that would work. So, next thing is Shortcuts app, which has been around on iPhone and iPad for some time now, but they've finally brought it to Mac, which is actually potentially a huge deal, because obviously Mac OS has a bit more flexibility in terms of scripting and all this sort of stuff, which iOS and that does not. It's now going to bring a whole new level of automation into the Mac OS world. So there's already a thing called Automator, which has been around for a very long time, and I can't remember what the other ones, Scripter and something else. Essentially, they've got rid of two of them. They've kept Automator, that's still around, but they've brought in Shortcuts, and the Shortcuts and Automator can work together. But yeah, you can, pretty much using Automator, the sky was the limit in terms of what you can actually get it to do. So using that with the way Shortcuts works is going to be big. Like you'll be able to have massive workflows and just press a button and it'll do everything for you. Pretty much anything you can think of. So I think they probably undersold that a little bit, but that's going to be pretty big. Another one, universal control. This is pretty much the last thing. So there's been a thing around for a while called Sidecar, where an iPad, you put it with Mac or something.
I did see this, yeah.
Yeah, so you could put it, Sidecar, you used to be able to, basically, you could go in and kind of like a Bluetooth menu and select your iPad or whatever and essentially use your iPad as another screen. Cool thing about it is obviously you could drag like Adobe Illustrator or something like that across to your iPad screen, and you could use your pencil and you could actually draw in Illustrator or whatever you wanted to. So for artists, it was quite good. What they've done now is they've pretty much killed that, and they've taken it a whole nother step further. But they're actually using existing technologies they already had to build a new system. So it's not actually it's not new technology. It's just bringing all their other technology together to build one nice one.
Yeah.
Essentially now you can go and put your Mac next to your Mac and your iPad next to each other, and it's kind of like a bubble. You just move your mouse across to the side where the iPad is, and it can kind of like pop the bubble, and all of a sudden you can use your touchpad from your Mac on your iPad and your keyboard. And the best thing I like about this is, and this is, I believe they've brought in some features with the new iPad OS as well, where you can actually drag a lot more than you used to be able to, like move stuff around. Yeah,
I saw people praising that move as well.
Oh, I've already used it. It's great. I haven't used the universal control, but the dragging I have. I can now literally grab something off my iPad and just drag it onto my Mac. And to go further, you can have a second computer on the other side, or an iPad, I guess. And I could drag it from one iPad through the computer to the other iPad or to the other computer. And I think it's pretty next level. And I've read some reviews on it already, and pretty much Apple's already released some statements about it, and they pretty much said it's as simple a technology as it looks. Like what you see is what you get. It's not complex. It uses a combination of AirPlay and the old Sidecar and a few different things to make this happen. That's not AirPlay, AirDrop. So it's actually going to be really cool, and I'm really keen to get a Mac.
Like an absolutely fantastic feature.
Oh yeah, brilliant. And you know what? For people who are on the go, have got a nice workstation set up at home, they come home, put their iPad down, they've taken their iPad out with them, and then they all of a sudden they just pick up their mouse for their computer, can start dragging their stuff off their iPad. Essentially, what it reminds me of is like Star Trek and all this sort of stuff, or that sort of thing where they got like holograms things and they're like dragging and throwing things up on the wall and all this sort of stuff.
To the other. Yeah.
This in my books is the first evolution of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously been similar things before, but this is like the first actual proper working one. It's got me excited about the possibilities of what's to come now. But it's not for everyone, obviously, but it's got a lot of potential. And I, for one, I think I would actually use it quite a lot. So I don't use Sidecar a lot because I find that I don't really need. I actually already have three 27-inch screens connected to my MacBook Pro, so don't really need to use an iPad as a full screen. But to be able to have the iPad usable, like I could drag stuff onto those screens from my iPad, just drag them up, would be absolutely amazing because I use my iPad for everything at work. I take it everywhere with me, and I leave my Mac on my desk.
Yep.
So yeah, pretty excited for what's to come there. Haven't installed macOS Monterey yet because my MacBook is my daily driver for work, and I cannot afford. But the last time I installed a 0-day developer beta on a Mac, I bricked it. So and it was a brand new Mac, literally arrived. I installed it straight on, and
I don't know you've ever told me that story.
Oh well, probably a few reasons why I didn't, but $4,500 MacBook Pro, top of the range, rocked up. Dealt with Apple for about 3/4 of a day to try and solve it. Even Apple couldn't fix it, so it ended up being replaced in the warranty. Yikes. Thank God.
Yeah. But I'd say yikes as if I had to be replaced, but thank God it was replaced.
Yeah. So moral of the story, I'm not going to be one of those 0-day for the MacBooks again. So I'll wait till a couple of betas in before I go down that path. I'll probably go public beta for my Mac. Anyway, there's that one.
I just want to breeze through this last one too, because it wasn't mentioned anywhere, but I found it on my phone and then actually saw that some other people had found it too. Increased photo information. So
I just looked at it. Yeah, I can see it.
And swipe up, you can see.
Tells you all the details about the camera that took it. The resolution, the ISO.
Beauty of it too is you can actually see what camera it was taken on. So sometimes I sit there and I see 2013. Oh, what phone did I have back then? I change every 3 years or so. So not that many. Yeah. You swipe up, Apple iPhone 5.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you can do that with a lot of different photos. And it's just, it's fantastic that they've added that in because you can see all this photo information. So for those who import directly from like a DSLR camera onto an iPad or whatnot, because that's all able to be done now, you can see your lens information and all the camera information stuff. It's a cool little feature that was not mentioned anywhere that I know of. So it's just a nice little thing they added in.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed there as well, is this came up with like little tag. If you got like a picture, it comes up right in the bottom of the picture when you swipe up. Little pictures of the heads. You can like show these tags.
Fantastic!
Yeah,
because that's one of the things. You know how it tells you in the photos. Do you use the memories feature often?
Sometimes. Yeah,
I actually use it a lot because I find it fantastic to just be able to quickly build a little memory thing. But the problem is it really struggles to figure out some of the people in photos. Like looking at this, it has a solid whack at it. Like it's like, is this you? And I'm like, yeah, that's 100% me. But yeah. But when you do one of those memory things, it really relies on having that information. Yeah. Now I'll probably spend the next 6 days going through my thousands of photos and tagging all my peoples.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
It's really good. I love it. I didn't realize that was there until I saw you write that note.
I'm
So
glad you pointed out the heads thing because that's game changing for me a little bit. Might
It
leave
even
it
picks
that,
up the
though.
heads on the memes. I have no idea who these people are though, so I don't know if I should name them. Or we can just give them random names.
Just give random names.
Billy, Bob, and Frank. There you go.
This is Gary. Who's Gary? I don't know, but it's Gary.
He's on my memes.
Yeah, he's on the internet
with friends.
Yeah. It's might leave it there. There's plenty of other features they've brought in as well, but that's the main ones. Plus, we've well and truly covered our hour.
We have.
But yeah, so you can find Bliestek on Twitch. You're, I assume, going to start streaming a little bit more in the future.
Yes. No, I will be excited to over the next couple of weeks. I should start to be ramping up again.
Yep. No, that's all right. I didn't know because you've got a lot going on at the moment. So
yes, starting to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, and as per usual, you can find me on Twitch as JoelfromAU because I still can't get my username. And you can submit questions to it's media@bigbrainmedia.org or on our Discord, which is Big Brain Media, or Twitter @BigBrainMedia. And that we'll leave it. Thank you for joining me, Bliestek.
No worries. Thank you for having me.